Hello, I'm Denise Murphy-McGraw, the co-founder of the Capital Region Anti-Racism Training Initiative and the president of the Junior League of Schenectady and Saratoga Counties. I am here today with my co-founder of our initiative and the co-host of our show, Community Conversations. I welcome you. We're thrilled to have you. And this week we have another fantastic guest who is going to talk to us about what they are doing to make the Capital Region, upstate New York, the world a better place. I told her yesterday she has one of the best bios I have ever read. Jasenya McCauley is joining us and is going to talk to us about what she's got going on in our community and very important service that she provides and a business that she owns that just sounds very dynamic. And I didn't tell her this part yesterday, but her bio says that she comes from a very stylish family. I come from a very Irish family. I don't think those things are all related, but I am thrilled to have our guest. So Doc, you did us. This is a great one. You got us a very good guest and I cannot wait to hear this conversation.
Well, thank you. How are you doing, Denise?
I am well. I am well. It's good to see you.
It's good to be seen. And Ms. McCauley, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you for asking. And it's great to be here and I'm appreciative to have this conversation.
Well, we want to thank you for agreeing to be on our show. In fact, we're excited. And one of the things that I do is as a sociologist, one of my areas of specialty is entrepreneurship. So I'm always excited to speak to another entrepreneur. And what we want to do and what we always do is we like to allow our viewers to go back a little bit. We want them to hear your story. That's how they can really get to know our guest. And so we want to ask you the question, how did you become the great Jasenya McCauley?
All right. Well, I was born in Schenectady, New York, well, Niskayuna to be specific. Okay. And I grew up in a very naturally stylish family. Both of my grandmothers were seamstress at different points. Both of my grandmothers were entrepreneurs at different points. And both of my grandfathers were all stylish dressers as well. So it kind of trickled down. At about 6 years old, I decided I wanted to dance. So I danced throughout the Capital District throughout my younger years until my teens and as well as in college. And then I realized that I think that I went to college for fashion and I realized that I wanted to put more focus into that. I came back to Schenectady. I had my beautiful son, Taj, who's 8 now. And I decided to, between that time, start a business so that I could leave him something to be proud of as well as make more time for his upbringing.
Wonderful.
Go ahead.
Continue on.
So when I started my journey in business, I started off as generally a fashion stylist and quickly realized while working with clients that my niche was actually the psychology of fashion and how fashion actually affects our behaviors and how it affects our psychological environment.
Nice.
I love it.
Continue on, lady. We want to see the story. Don't leave us on the cliff. We're waiting on it. We're waiting on the edge of the cliff to hear the rest. How did you get there?
Oh, we've had so many interesting people on our show from the entertainment world, from media, from other entrepreneurs, but nobody has spoken terms like this before. I would just love to hear how you went from just, not just that person who knew your family just looked a little better than everybody else did at church, right? And to take it to it being your calling and it being what you do.
Yeah, so that's the piece of family is I have, on top of a stylish family, I do have a very confident family. And my grandmother on my mother's side had 14 kids.
Really?
Yes, love it. 14. So therefore I have a plethora of cousins and family members throughout the United States, not just in this area. And I noticed a theme after getting more into the psychology of it, that we do just have a certain presence where we live at. And the community kind of gravitates to us in a way that is very natural for us to, to be relied upon in certain different ways, depending on how we put ourselves out there. But the thread that kind of keeps us all together is the fact that we have that natural confidence to dress in a way that exemplifies what we're setting out to do. So similar to what Denise just mentioned, both of my grandmothers were religious women. One of them went to church on a regular basis. And she was just known for being just, having that consistent look that made it to where she was able to be a part of the staff that helped the church run. Right. So she didn't just go to church to worship.
Right.
She was able to, because she put so much investment into herself, which it showed, she was able to put herself in positions to be on the board, to be the treasurer, to help organize events. And it's just like very interesting to see, especially with my parents. My mother is now retired, but she was a utilization management specialist for many years through insurance companies. And my
mother was a utilization specialist.
Was she?
That is crazy.
Oh my
I've
God.
never heard anybody else talk about utilization and management and review.
Okay,
keep going.
What does a utilization specialist do? This is the first I've heard of that.
Oh, sure. So I thought it was interesting as well, growing up around that environment. So what they do is they help the insurance patients understand how to use their insurance, and they help the company regulate how the doctors are billing the company. So they are the liaison between the service and the billing, making sure that everything is going to the correct regulations based on the company's standards.
So you may have heard case management or discharge planning, those terms. It's all different aspects of what Jasenya is talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Wow. And so hearing that, you can see she could probably just wear regular clothes to work, insofar as just black and gray and white, right? But not my mother, right? She wore beautiful jewelry, and she had exquisite fabrics that made her feel good. And I believe in my heart, I had never asked her, which is something great I need to do, but I believe in my heart that that's part of the reason why she was able to do it for so long and sustain her career in that field. It's a very hard field, and there's a lot of information thrown at you on a regular basis. So the confidence that she brought to work, I really do believe she wore it on her skin, in that I can handle going from speaking to a doctor, going from speaking to a patient, to speaking to the vice president in a meeting. And she was able to do that in a very smooth and succinct way. And I was able to thankfully be influenced by that, and not realizing that, again, she was teaching me how to sustain my own confidence through what it is that I'm trying to do through what I'm wearing. So that's where, honestly, I thought about it, and I kind of nod to her when I picked the term for myself, wardrobe utilization specialist. That's what I call myself.
Oh, Doc, you didn't know what you were getting yourself into putting us two together, huh?
Well, I think God is good. He always brings things right and makes things work.
I am so excited with it. It's true. It's true.
So now, Ms. McCauley, tell us more about your business. When did you get it established? And tell us more about what you do, your clients, and the impact you're having in the community.
Absolutely. So I established my business in 2017. However, I did not launch it until 2018. I came across Carmen Duncan's company, Mission Accomplished Transition Services. And
We've worked with her. Carmen has been very involved with helping us launch this effort, quite frankly. She was one of our first trainers we brought on.
Awesome. So you guys are very familiar with what she does and how she helps the community. And she was able to, work with me. Well, her company, there was a few people involved, of course, and they were able to help me kind of do those last little bits of polishing that was needed for me to present at our graduation, if you will, ceremony. And that's when I launched having those fashion services. It was only fashion styling at the time. She was one of my first clients, and I worked with her to get her wardrobe utilization increased. I've also started working with people who wanted help walking in high heels, right? Because there's different steps to that. And my training in dancing was able to support that. But again, in those experiences, I realized that what really was needed for me to be able to do my job and to support the way I would like to was to get into the psychology of why does someone have a closet full of clothes, but they need to hire someone like myself to help them put it together and utilize it correctly. So I realized that I was actually in the wrong field per se by not acknowledging the psychology piece of what it is I was trying to offer to the community. So I started to slowly pivot. In 2020, encouraged me to pivot to a business to business model. Yeah. So I still work with individuals on the wardrobe utilization piece, but that opened my company up to offer creative services where I'm creative director or I'm the creative lead. Currently the creative lead for NAMI New York State's Off the Mask fundraising fashion show that'll be in November.
You're kidding.
Yes. Yep. I'm working alongside a host of great people to bring that together, and also business services, because I noticed that there's a lot of great entrepreneurs here who, unlike myself, don't have 2 and 3 degrees to rely on insofar as informationally. And I'm able to use the information I gained in college and help people have their business run a bit more effectively and efficiently. So those are the 3 service areas of my business currently since that 2020 pivot. It's creative services, business services, and wardrobe utilization services.
This is gonna be a long one. I'm never gonna let her off the show tonight. She's gonna have to come back every month. Do you work with organizations? Can you come in and be a guest speaker? I mean, as you heard in the introduction, and one of the producers of the show is the Junior League of Schenectady and Saratoga Counties. That is an organization of women civic leaders who, that's the kind of stuff that organizations like mine used to do more of. And then they got into different kinds of trainings, but being, the old fashioned term, dress for success.
Oh, so I'm so happy you asked that, because I just did my first, just this past spring, maybe in March, actually, I just did my first round of courses instructing through Schenectady City School District's continuing education. Great. So I'm going to be offering every term classes in how to maintain a healthy wardrobe mindset. That's one of the classes. Fashion Styling 101, which I'm actually going to be changing to Wardrobe Etiquette 101. And then there's going to be a maintaining a professional presence. So that is kind of where I am starting to branch out into, servicing professionals with the understanding that although this day and age, it is very much everyone trying to be unique and an individual, there are still those etiquette pieces and those social norms that we don't realize do affect us as it relates to how we present ourselves on different levels.
Love it.
Denise, when I spoke with Ms. McCauley over the phone, and she taught me what she did, I said, basically what you're saying is you're a fixer. And
yeah.
She said,
well, yeah. I mean, it's so true. You really are, that is what, somebody who does utilization management, that's what they do. They're fixing a situation. They're taking, and I'll tell you, you just described me to a T. I have a closet full of clothes in every size under the sun, and I don't know the best way to wear it, to do it. And I'm an adult woman who's, had a very successful career. Yes. It's such a valuable skill set, and it's such a valuable mindset as well, to be able to, because it really does, when you look confident, you feel confident, you're able to go conquer the world. It's such a wonderful service.
Thank you so much. And you're right. It has not, I've worked with wonderful professional level women who are doing the great things to help their communities. And it's really just, I boiled it down to these questions. Why do you buy what you buy? Why do you wear what you wear? And why aren't those questions cohabitating in the same room in your mind? And I've done research, and I'm still doing with the classes I do, I still conduct certain field tests to get an understanding of where does that kind of branch off, and where does that end up being in two separate rooms? Because
Right.
we're excited when we're purchasing something and we're looking forward to wearing it. But sometimes we don't look at, can I wear this for 5 different occasions for the next 5 years? Right. So it becomes a situation like Dr. Horton said, that I decided that I'm okay with having hard conversations and kind of massaging people with just into being objective about something that's so personal to them. Your wardrobe is super personal. It's our second skin. So I've found a way to have these comfortable conversations with people in very, safe environments, because it's usually their homes when it comes to individuals. And when it comes to businesses, I've worked with retail businesses, explaining to them why they should set their store up a certain way to kind of tell that story to people depending on what their desired demographic is. So if you have a company that would like to sell to professional women, we don't want to lead with our club wear in the front of the store. We want to push that to the back of the store, right? So again, it becomes a mindset thing of how do we want people to psychologically take in these wardrobe pieces, because it's very subconscious, a lot of this, the inner workings of this. And I'm also very much an advocate for taking down fast fashion. I am very much a proponent of taking clothes you're not using and reworking them in a way that you will, as well as shopping some of these smaller designers that are able to, maybe for a little bit higher price, give you quality goods that you will be able to feel more confident in, because know that it's strictly to your brand or your presence, or, unique to yourself. So that's kind of how I work on that side.
Nice. You touched on something, and Dr. Horton knows quite well, and our viewers do, that I work a lot in the mental health space, advocating for increased access to mental health. And obviously I work with NAMI, the National Association for Mental Illness, just because I represent mental health professionals who work in those settings. What do you do for NAMI? Because that would probably apply to a lot of not-for-profits out there watching this tonight.
Absolutely. So I honestly started working with them 3 years ago. I found out about their Off the Mask fashion show and was very much excited because of the different experiences I've had with mental health. And I decided to see if I could work behind the stage, just helping out. And I had a wonderful time. And I went back the next year in a similar capacity. And then I was asked this year if I didn't mind stepping up to co-chair the fashion show.
Great.
As a volunteer, because I do not work for NAMI. So this is something that my company does for its charity efforts, or, its efforts to support the community, not for profit. So I am the creative lead. I've come up with the theme for this year's fashion show, and I'm just working with them based on their needs and based on their standards, just coming together with something that's unique and engaging for the community to have a good time, but also to raise awareness and funds to support the mental illness and the mental wellness support that's needed in the New York State.
Nice.
Amen.
I like the fact that as an entrepreneur, you are giving back by offering your services pro bono.
Yes,
that's a good sign of a good social entrepreneur, because you realize that goodwill is going to come back to you,
right?
And you are basically, you're not just trying to profit off the community. You actually are being a part of the community, and that says a lot for you, about you. And believe me, I'm very happy, and quite frankly, very proud to hear that. You're a dynamic young individual, and you're out there being a role model, particularly for young Black women, for them to see someone like themselves, fashionable, dynamic, strong, and doing some phenomenal things. So I want to commend you about that. Now, I do have a question. Listening to you, it seems to me now, am I mistaken? And please put me in check if I'm wrong. I want our viewers to know this. Now, are most of your clients women?
No, actually, no. For the wardrobe utilization, yes, but I have had male clients. I used to do specialized shopping trips that I would go and be the concierge for the person that would hire me so that they didn't have to deal with, because again, I work with other entrepreneurs and professionals that don't necessarily want to be hassled in the store with all of that. And
Right.
because I used to manage retail spaces in the area prior to getting into my own business, I offered services to go and be their personal sales associate. So if they needed, they would go in the fitting room, we would get some things, they would go in the fitting room, and then I would assist them and they would be able to just relax in the fitting room and not have to deal with the sales associate. I would deal with the sales associate. I've also had male clients. One was a musician, and he just wanted to kind of get a little bit of a different look for some of his music videos and performances. So I was able to listen to him about what his style was, look at what he currently was doing, and figure out a way to make it a little bit more interesting and a little bit less generic insofar as how he was dressing. So I definitely do work with male clients on the wardrobe utilization piece. And then, of course, when it relates to the business and creative services, I actually feel like it's kind of a 50-50 split. Insofar as my clientele there, I've worked with local director on one of his movies as the costume designer and props key. I've also worked with I work with local photographers regularly, getting them some interesting and creative subject matter for them to take pictures and videos of, as well as a local beauty supply store in Troy owned by a Black gentleman that I just helped him with a few things business-wise to make the store just feel a little bit more polished. So I would say for sure it's most likely a 50-50 split as it relates to the demographics. If not, maybe more males actually.
Like that's the point I wanted you to bring out, because I didn't want our viewers to think that that you primarily catered to women, that you basically catered to both genders in every aspect of your job. Man, that is, now tell us in a little time that we got left. I'm stealing Denise's line.
You got it.
Tell us about the future of your company. First of all, state your company again so everybody will know. Tell us where it is, where folks can connect with you.
Find you. Yep.
That's right. And then tell us about your plans for the future for your company.
All right. So my company's name is Styled and Emerge. That's STYLD and the letter N, and then EMRGD. It is Styled and Emerge on all platforms, as well as www.styledandemerge.com. And the future of my business is actually to stamp my presence in New York State. I've recently just connected with someone in Syracuse, New York, and I'm making more connections downstate New York, because again, the psychology of fashion, the understanding that you don't need college in order to run a professional level business, and that you don't need to rely so much on being inspired by each other to create creative subject matters and content, is something that the pretty much the whole United States, if not the world, requires. So my goal is right now to focus on what I can do to support New York State, and then we'll move out from there depending on how well that goes.
Fantastic. This has been, I say this a lot, I really truly mean this. I would love to have you come back on a more regular basis if you could fit it into your schedule, maybe seasonally, and give people things to think about. We have a lot of people on the show. You said you've worked with musicians, and you've worked, because of Doc Horton and who he is in the community, we get a lot of people like that on the show. And you see there's themes of, people trying to rise up, people trying to, and it just is so interesting, and it's so valuable what you're doing in the community. And I am very grateful for Doc to have brought you on this show, because I think people need to know what you're doing. I just really think it's wonderful. It's a fantastic business model. And I'm honored that you would come on the show and shared some of your time with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Denise. I'm very happy to hear that. And I'm appreciative that you can see the work that I'm putting into trying to support others with their own endeavors. As a
and
fixer,
that's
right?
it, right? and that's how the world should work, right? And you are successful if we can help others. So, Doc, thank you. You did a great one today.
Thank you. And let me also say this, as you, along with being a college professor, Ms. McCauley, I also am a musician. You probably looked me up and everything. I know for everybody does. And so, and in fact, and so you really piqued my interest when you said you help the musician uh, uh, with a wardrobe. So hey, I maybe contacting you on that matter myself.
Exactly. Hey, Doc Horton, just before we're going to wrap up, but when's the band playing again?
This coming Saturday, May 13th, we're having our Motown and More show. It's a concert I'm producing. We also have some opening acts for us. We've got Prime Time and Ricky Bandana, and I tell you, it's going to be a phenomenal show. It's going to be at the Electric City Barn in Schenectady from 6 to 8 p.m. So it's a family-friendly show, so you don't have to worry about a babysitter. Bring your kids, and I tell you, you'll have a great time. So, Ms.
Thank
McCauley,
you, Doc.
come on out.
Thank you. And could I just, is it okay for me to just add where you could see my work for the rest of the year? Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So I'll be costume designing for Callaloo Theater Company's Trouble in Mind on June 3rd and 4th, as well as June 6th and 10th and 11th. My company is also producing its first fashion show on a New York State trail called A Style Trail. It's a fitness and fashion fusion on August 19th. And then NAMI Off the Mask will be November 3rd in Albany, the Albany Marriott. And then stay tuned for the classes coming in September through Schenectady City School District's Continuing Education Program.
Absolutely. So let's have you back on the show before the classes start again. And then we can talk about now if that's okay with you. All right. So you get something to look forward to, viewers. Our girl will be back and we're going to have even more of an exciting conversation. Dr. Horton, thank you very much for being here. Thanks all of you for joining us. We will be back next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock and every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock right here for Community Conversations. Good night now.
Good night.